Misty hills rise like whispers from the earth, wind twisting through the heather, carrying secrets from centuries past. Somewhere in the distance, a lone figure stands against the dawn, eyes fixed on the horizon, as if sensing that everything is about to change. The story that began long ago is reaching its final breathtaking chapter, and no one will be untouched by what comes next. The screen is dark at first, silence broken only by the faint cry of a bird far away. Slowly, a soft golden light spreads across the rolling Scottish highlands. Mist snakes between the hills, curling like ghostly fingers around ancient stones. The camera glides over jagged cliffs, the ocean crashing below, waves foaming like the chaos that is yet to come. A close-up shows dew on green grass, droplets trembling in the morning light. The wind carries the distant sound of a horn, echoing across the hills. There's no one yet, just the land itself, wild and untamed, holding the memory of centuries. A shadow appears on a ridge. It is a figure, tall and determined, wrapped in a cloak that flutters in the wind. The camera doesn't reveal their face, only the outline, the posture, the steady courage in their stance. The mist swirls around them, as if hesitant to let them pass. The music begins quietly, low strings vibrating like the pulse of the earth itself. It grows slowly, a sense of tension rising as the camera sweeps down into a valley, revealing a glimpse of a distant settlement. Smoke curling from chimneys, unaware of the storm that approaches. Suddenly, the wind picks up. Trees sway violently, and the camera cuts to a closer shot of rocks jostling under the gust. Something is coming. Danger is near, yet the figure remains unwavering. The light shifts, casting long shadows that stretch across the ground, hinting at battles fought and sacrifices yet to come. On-screen text appears subtly, almost like carved. Letters on stone. The story is ending. But the journey is not over. The camera cuts to a bird's-eye view, soaring over forests and rivers. A vast panorama that makes the viewer feel both awe and insignificance. Then, a sudden brief flash lightning over the hills, a distant roar of thunder. The music leaps, signaling the arrival of change, a sense of urgency and anticipation. The figure begins to move forward, steps measured but resolute. Each step echoes in the silence, a heartbeat in the landscape. The camera pans behind them, showing the immense land stretching endlessly, suggesting that this journey, though personal, is monumental, epic, and universal. The final shot of this section slows. The figure pauses on a cliff's edge. The wind blows fiercely, hair and cloak whipping around, the mist parting as though revealing a path forged by destiny itself. The music swells to a crescendo, yet the moment is still, powerful, and filled with expectation. No words are spoken by the character. The story is told entirely through visuals, movement, and sound. The audience feels the weight of history, the promise of adventure, and the inevitable clash of fate that awaits. Fade to black. The silence returns, heavier now, as if the land itself is holding its breath, waiting for what comes next. The mist lifts slightly over a quiet valley. The morning sun glimmers on a small, isolated cabin, smoke curling from its chimney in slow spirals. A figure approaches, boots crunching on the frosted grass, hands brushing against the walls of the cabin, as if seeking comfort and familiarity. The camera lingers on the movement, the small gestures, tightening a cloak, adjusting a strap, steadying a hand, each one speaking of worry, courage, and the weight of what is coming. Inside, a hearth burns. Shadows dance across the room, revealing glimpses of personal belongings, a worn quilt folded neatly, letters stacked in a careful pile, a small toy forgotten in the corner. Each object tells a story of love, loss, and a life built against the chaos of the outside world. The camera does not linger on faces, yet the emotions are unmistakable, the tender memory of a life shared, the fear of losing it, and the unspoken resolve to protect it at all costs. Outside, children run through the meadow, laughter carried by the wind. The camera follows their movement from above, showing them weaving through the tall grass, unaware of the looming storm. A sudden gust of wind sweeps past them, ruffling hair and skirts. The motion is small but telling like a warning, a prelude to the trials ahead. The tension in the air is palpable, a quiet undercurrent beneath the innocence of play. A lone figure watches from the edge of the forest. Hands grip the hilt of a sword, or perhaps a staff, knuckles white with anticipation. Their stance is protective, unwavering. Though the camera keeps the face hidden, the angle captures a subtle tilt of the head, a deep breath taken before the inevitable confrontation. Every movement is deliberate, a dance of courage and restraint. The soundtrack shifts, soft but insistent, blending a melancholy violin with the distant echo of a horn. The music mirrors the unspoken thoughts. Will they endure? Will love survive the trials that approach? Each note resonates like a heartbeat, grounding the scene in human emotion despite the epic scale of the surroundings. The camera cuts between moments, hands brushing, a cloak thrown over a shoulder, a quiet exchange of glances from the side, small gestures, magnified into profound statements. The audience understands the bonds without hearing a single word. Family, loyalty, love, and sacrifice are the stakes now, higher than any battle could reach. Outside, storm clouds gather on the horizon. The sunlight fades, painting the landscape in shades of gray and gold. Shadows lengthen and merge, the world itself seeming to hold its breath. The figures move with purpose, each step heavy with the weight of what they carry inside, their past, their choices, and the lives they are determined to protect. The section closes on a powerful, subtle image, a hand gently resting on the edge of a table, fingers trembling slightly, then tightening into a fist. It is both vulnerability and determination, a silent promise that the heart of the story will fight for what it loves. The camera slowly pulls back, showing the small cabin in the vast expanse of the valley, tiny yet significant against the enormity of the world outside. On-screen text appears for a brief moment, almost like a whisper. Every bond, every promise will be tested. The music swells softly, then fades into the wind as the scene transitions, leaving the audience with a sense of intimacy, stakes, and the quiet power of human emotion against a world of uncertainty. The wind suddenly sharpens, whistling across jagged cliffs and rattling the wooden shutters of a distant homestead. Shadows stretch unnaturally over the hills, dark clouds swirling in a restless sky. The camera drifts over the landscape, catching glimpses of distant fires, the first signs of unrest, smoke curling like fingers reaching into the heavens. The land itself seems uneasy, reacting to the chaos that is approaching. A lone horse gallops through the valley, hooves thundering on the frozen ground, mane whipping in the wind. On its back, a figure leans forward, cloak flaring, every movement precise and urgent. The camera cuts to close-ups of hands gripping reins, knuckles white, boots digging into the stirrups. No faces are shown, yet the tension is palpable. Every motion conveys the knowledge that danger is close and time is fleeting. Suddenly, a clash echoes through the hills, metal on metal, shouts carried by the wind, the unmistakable sound of conflict erupting. The camera cuts between wide aerial shots of rolling skirmishes and intimate, close-up glimpses, a sword buried in the mud, an arrow quivering in flight, a lone figure crouched behind a stone wall, chest heaving. The choreography of danger is revealed not through faces, but through motion, breath, and precise angles. A sudden storm begins to fall. Rain hammers down in sheets, turning the dirt roads into rivers, soaking clothing and equipment. Lightning splits the sky, illuminating the chaos in brief, brilliant flashes. The wind carries whispers of cries, the faintest echoes of desperation, but no words are fully heard, just the sound of struggle, endurance, and the raw force of nature against human will. The camera slows for a brief, surreal moment. A sword falls into the mud, and water reflects a distorted, fleeting image of the person who wielded it. Then, a hand rises from beneath a tangle of roots and rocks, pulling a cloak tighter, rising again. The rhythm of survival is shown in small human gestures, in the grit and determination of those caught in the rising storm. Across the battlefield, shadows move with intent. Figures dart through the mist, weapons drawn, shields raised, movements precise and purposeful. The camera captures fleeting moments, a boot slipping on wet stone, a staff raised just in time, a cloak torn by a branch. Each detail tells the story of struggle without revealing faces, emphasizing action, instinct, and the instinct to survive. The soundscape is layered: thunder, rain, clashing steel, and the faint, haunting echo of a horn in the distance. The music swells in intensity, pulsating like a heartbeat, matching the tension of the rising conflict. Silence punctuates each peak, creating suspense, then plunges the viewer into the next surge of danger. The camera sweeps to a cliff edge, where a figure stands silhouetted against the storm, watching the chaos unfold below. Cloak flapping violently, they do not move forward yet, but their stance radiates readiness, defiance, and the silent promise that they will not yield. The framing makes them both small against the vast conflict and monumental in their resolve. On-screen text appears, almost like carved letters in the wind. The storm is coming, and no one will escape its path.